Unit 2, Exam Review, question number 31. Free fall with Galileo. Oh, one of my favorites. We learned that Galileo developed the equation f of x equals negative 16x squared plus v naught x plus h to show the path of a free-falling object. X represents the time. V naught represents the initial velocity, or the velocity at time zero. That's why the naught is there, or zero. H represents the initial height of the object in feet, so where you're standing, the initial height at the very beginning, again when time is zero. And the input of the function is x, which we already know is time, which was given to us in the first one. So that was nice to repeat it. Represents how long the object has been in the air, or time. And the last one is the output of the function is the final height of the object above the ground. So Ramzan stood on a rope bridge over a deep cavern and wondered how high the bridge was above the water. He dropped a rock and it took 3.75 seconds to hit the water. When he arrived safely back home, he wanted to tell people how high the bridge was. So he used Galileo's equation to estimate the height of the bridge by figuring that when he dropped the stone, it had no initial velocity because he just dropped it. He didn't throw it. But it gained speed as it fell for the 3.75 seconds to hit the water, which he figured was the height of zero because when he hit the water, it's then at ground level for what he's considering ground level. Substituting these figures into Galileo's equation gave him 0 equals negative 16. This is the gravitational acceleration constant, just so you know. It's derived from negative 32 feet per second squared, which is just really cool for those of you who really wanted to know that. You could have also done in meters per second, which would have been 9.8 meters per second squared, but we're doing feet, which is negative 16. X is going to be time, which we were already told here and here, so we put in 3.75 seconds for all of the x's here. Now, some of you are going to say, wait a minute, where did the zero come from? Okay, remember, it told us that f of x is the height, the final height of the object. Sorry, my mouse is doing something weird. The final height of the object above the ground. So because it hit the water, it landed at ground level, so we're going to do 0 equals. And remember, when we substitute in for x, we're going to do our parentheses around everything. Negative 16 parentheses, x is 3.75, and this is squared, so raise it to the 2. Add the initial velocity. He did not add any velocity to this. It was a free fall, so he just dropped it. So that initial velocity is 0. 0 times x is 3.75 seconds. Close the parenthesis and then add h, which we would like to know what was the height. Okay, so 0 times 3.75 is 0, and so I'm going to, we'll just copy and paste this down for the next step. Copy, paste. One of the benefits of doing math on the computer. And 0 times all of that is 0. So now, you know what? Let's do a little Excel. 3.75 squared. We can squish this over too so that we can still see that. This is actually how I do my math on my computer, just so those of you who are wondering. I do keep this up, and then I have my Microsoft Word, and then I have Excel so that I can calculate, and maybe some of you will enjoy that as well, so you have your multiple windows up to jump back and forth. 3.75 squared. We could do the whole thing and multiply that by negative 16 as well. Some of you might not be as comfortable, so you can type that in just to show every single step. Let's copy this one. I think that one's easier. So this is times, what did we get? 14.0625. 14.0625. And we need to multiply that by negative 16. You could have done that all in Excel. Equals negative 16 times 3.75 squared here. That would be just fine. You can do that. Microsoft Excel knows how to do the order of operations, so it would have done the exponent first and then times by negative 16. If you're not comfortable doing that all at once, you can do this and then let's go ahead and cell reference, equals negative 16 times what we got for our exponent, which is still negative 225. So we get 0 equals negative 225 plus h, and solving for h, I need to add 225 to both sides to cancel out the left side. So I get 225 plus 0 is 0. Negative 225 plus 225 is 0, plus h gives me h. And this is in feet per second squared, not in meters. So this was 225 feet. And so my answer is right here. I hope that was helpful on that one.